Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. And today I thought we'd take a look at the lesson that's assigned for morning prayer from the book Genesis, because it is the last part of the book Genesis. We've gotten to the end of the story. Remember, we started many weeks ago looking at the book Genesis during the daily office, where we started with, of course, the story of creation and talked a little bit about Adam and Eve. We got into Abraham and his the covenant that he became the one who had a special relationship with God through that original covenant, and then his son Isaac, and then Jacob. Jacob had his name changed to Israel. He had 12 children. Those are the 12 tribes. One of the children being Joseph, sold into slavery in Egypt, becomes a very important he's sold by his brothers. It becomes a very important part of the government in Egypt, second in command to the Pharaoh, and that God used that to help to save the people of Israel from a famine. And so we've come to the end now. Jacob is at the end of his life. He has died, and he made sure that Joseph knew that he wanted to be buried with his fathers, Abraham, Isaac, as well, so the body would be taken back. And of course, the other brothers who sold Joseph into slavery are still pretty afraid of him because they really screwed things up by selling him into slavery, and they're just sure that now that Dad's out of the way to protect them, that Joseph is going to exact revenge on them. So jumping in now at verse number 15 from today's reading. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly require us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespass of thy brethren and their sin, for they did unto thee evil. And now we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of the God of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him. And his brethren went also and fell down before his face, and they said, Behold, we be thy servants. And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore fear ye not, I will nourish you and your little ones, and be comforted them, and spake kindly unto them. And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house, and Joseph lived 110 years. And then he goes on for the rest of the chapter to talk about the generations of his children that were there in Egypt. And so we finish now with the book Genesis, and we really begin to see that the emphasis of God's work and care and concern, both in creating us, as well as having a particular chosen people, a group of people, who would then be the ones who would pass on and do the original covenant with God. But this also sets up for us, because as Joseph said, right, the brothers meant this for evil. God let it happen, his permissive will, and God was able to take it and use it for good to save the people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in order for them to be fed and taken care of. And they would get a region of Egypt called Goshen, and it would become quite prosperous with their cattle, so much so that the Egyptians begin to fear this strong minority of people in their country and instead enslave them rather than letting them just go free. And so into the story in the book Exodus, which we start tomorrow, that's right, we start tomorrow, we get to hear the story of none other but Moses, right? And Moses, of course, is the great liberator. Well, actually, God is the great liberator, but Moses is the prophet that God uses to liberate the people, to bring them out of the slavery of Egypt, and then, of course, to give the law through Moses. So we really have some exciting stuff coming up in the coming weeks as we read all of that as well. So do remember in your life that remember, this is big picture story, right? Joseph's being enslaved, being sold by his brothers into slavery, and then the redemption that comes. There are decades in between then. And sometimes we want God to act right here, right now. We want him to solve things right away, right? I want to be able to, like Amazon, I want to be able to just swipe and buy now. I want to do that with God. I want to pray and have him fix it right now. But sometimes, you know, if you could have told me this when I was in my 20s, I wouldn't have believed you. But now that I'm in my 50s, God has big long-term plans, and sometimes the thing that didn't work out or the thing that seemed absolutely nonsensible 10, 15 years ago suddenly plays into how God is acting right now. So we can certainly be assured that God hasn't abandoned us, but that he has a purpose and a plan for us. Just keep staying faithful. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to go up online and sign up for one of our worship services this weekend. We have 3 services on Saturday, 7 services on Sunday, and this will be the last weekend that we have to have 10 services. We return on Palm Sunday back to our 25% of occupancy. But please do go to stjohnsdetroit.org and click on the link to the Sign Up Genius for a service. And I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed Thursday.